Time now to talk sport with Sasha.
Thank you very much, guys. And it's been a big week for sport, as we usually say anyway. Ben Barber in the NRL was stood down by the Bulldogs earlier this week due to what the club described as behavioural issues. Now, the story highlights many things, most notably how professional sport can have a deep impact on an athlete's demeanour and well-being. And of course, furthermore, how certain personalities deal with pressure. Now, for more, I'm joined live from Brisbane by Bo Hanson, who is the Director of Athlete Assessments. They provide professional sports teams with character profiles of potential recruits. Bo, good morning to you.
Morning, Sasha. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Who have you done assessments for particularly?
We've spent a lot of the last 7 years now providing assessments for a range of different clients. A lot of our work is based in America with Division I colleges, working with the head coaches and their athletes there and the student population. We also work with all of the major football codes in Australia, so that includes not just the coaches but also the administrators, the officials and of course the athletes. And in that time we've worked with more than 24 different sports. But essentially what we found is that we tend to work with coaches, sports and administrators who understand that the importance of understanding their players is critical. And so a lot of the coaches who are now our clients are coaches who are looking for an edge, but they know that that edge is not going to come from just their knowledge of the tactics. So a lot of really successful coaches understand that they are actually in a people's sport. Sport is all about dealing with people. It's about dealing with different personalities. And we tend to have attracted coaches who also appreciate that fact.
So you say that you provide assessments for coaches. Don't you then in turn have to have an assessment on the coach or the organisation that is doing the recruiting?
We spend a lot of time providing assessments for coaches. We believe that within the model that we work with, the coach has to demonstrate great self-awareness, so they have to understand themselves well. They also have to be able to understand their players. Now, part of that mix is if the organisation, that is the team that the player is on, has a good appreciation for the strengths that that player has an ability to understand perhaps what some of their limitations are, they're able to provide an environment where that player is more likely to feel as though they truly belong to the team. And they're able to leverage off that player's strengths. And what we find is that the majority of players, athletes in all sports, this is something that we found in common with all sports, is that if the coach, if the administrators are able to provide an environment where that athlete is able to utilise their strength, you're more likely to get the most out of them. If you're creating an environment where the athlete feels like they have to be someone completely different, someone that they're not really intrinsically, perhaps in terms of their personality, if they don't really feel like they fit in, the athlete's going to struggle to provide a good performance.
Now, you're a former Olympian yourself there, Bo. Can you say there could be some inconsistencies of making an assessment on someone's behaviour based purely on environment?
The assessment that we use is called a DISC profile, and we developed the world's only sporting version of that. And DISC is all about understanding someone's behavioural pattern in the context of the environment that they're in. So when a player or a coach or an official completes our assessment, they're actually thinking about their behaviour in the context of their sporting environment. And so they may behave differently outside of that, but one of the really interesting things that we've noticed is that if a player is behaving dramatically different outside of their sporting environment compared to how they behave in it, we call that a significant, what we call an adaptation. The bigger the adaptation that you're making to fit into your environment, the less likely it is that you'll be successful in the context of that role. And so that's why it's so important for coaches to understand, well, what makes their players tick? How can I best leverage off this player's strengths?
So what you're trying to say is that if an athlete is going into a particular organisation, they should make adjustments to their personality? Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, basically, what we found in common with the most successful coaches in the world is that they have a great ability to tailor their coaching style to suit the unique needs of that athlete. Now, what's interesting is about this current generation of athletes is that we often hear about Generation Y being a generation where things are tailored to suit their respective needs. Essentially, nothing that we buy today, any interaction that we have with any sort of product is now tailored to suit your unique needs. Sport's no different to that. A lot of our business is really, a part of it is recognising what really successful coaches have done in the past and really understanding that what's made them a successful coach has been their ability to perhaps pitch their message to suit the needs of this athlete, but they change their message to suit the needs of another athlete.
But isn't there a danger in putting labels on people?
Yeah, I think there is a massive danger of putting labels on people. But guess what? We already do that.
Yeah, we do.
We label everything because it helps us understand it. And what we're doing with our assessments is that whilst it's called a disc profile, we might be labeling someone as a D type of behaviour. See, the difference is that we're not saying that this is who you are. What we're doing is giving coaches, administrators an understanding of this is how your player behaves in this specific context. Now, if you want to get the most from them, if you want to help them be their best, it helps if you understand what their behavioural patterns are. But that's not all they are. People are far more complex than just, a D, an I, an S or a C in the context of a behavioural profile.
Okay, Bo Hanson, several questions we could put to you today. We might get you on in the near future. Thank you so much for your time and all the best.